afternoon everybody, and welcome back to the Terra Firma guitar channel. And today I'm going to start a project on a 1x12 guitar cabinet. This is a real simple carpentry job. I'm not doing anything fancy, and so if you want to make one yourself, you can follow along. So the other goal always here is to do things on the cheap, and two pieces. So this is going to form the top, the bottom, and the two sides. So let's get into it. Okay, for this part of the project you need a saw, a tape measure and a pencil. And so I've got the line I've decided to make 45 high. So that's 1.5 foot, right? So it means that there's going to be 15 centimeters spare for the 12-inch speaker on the height. I think that's quite high enough. And that leaves a balance of about 65, I think, for the width. Exactly, so it's bang on 65. So I think that's a nice size cabinet. And look, the 1x12, I'm going to be using a greenback, and like they have less bass. So at the risk of this cabinet being a bit big, you know, and maybe even boomy, I think that'll offset the single greenback. And you may be wondering, what am I going to do with these cutouts? I'm just going to ignore them and pretend they're not there, and I'll put the box together and we'll figure out whether to just leave them or to patch them. Okay, so step one's completed. We've cut the two lengths down, and you can see, as I say, that one's just slightly out of alignment. And how did we go with our cuts here? Not bad, eh? But keep in mind, guys, as with rock and roll, this is rock and roll carpentry. It's near enough for rock and roll, and that's what we're attempting to achieve here. A rock and roll 1x12 guitar cabinet. Okay, so in the spirit of recycling, I had this strange frame that I found with these two boards, and I'm going to use these to screw onto the side. Okay, so we cut the first bit, and now we're going to just use that to mark off the second bit. Okay, we're up to the next step of the project. So I've got the side of the cabinet here, and I've cut the other part of that thing I found on the side of the road. Now I normally would use this. I actually had this here. I bought this to attach these sides, but just in the spirit of recycling, I'm going to use these giant big guys instead. I'm going to glue and screw this exactly in line with that, and this can be the front. And look, just to help the glue stick, I've just roughly sanded where that's going to go, and I've sanded this edge that's going to attach. Okay, there's the glue. We're going to put him on like that. Okay, because there was a knot on this one, and I had a bit of trouble driving that screw straight through, I'm pre-drilling this next one. So I'm putting the 3 screws in, so we'll just pre-drill like so. Another little tip is you can countersink just using the driver from the screwdriver. See what that's done? It's going to help the screw head go in. Okay, so I've just measured the width of this guy, which I'm going to use at the back, so to semi-seal the back. That's how much space it is. Draw the line. Don't know how straight it was, but as I say, we're not here for perfection. And then we're going to drop this one down. Let that glue sort of sit. You can feel it's actually grabbing nicely because of that sanding. Line him up there, and we're going to put the 3 screws in. So that's what we've got here. So imagine that's the side, and so that's the back, and then we've got the front here. The baffle will attach to that. So now I'm just going to replicate this on the other side. Okay, so in the spirit of saving money and time as well, this is the baffle, right? And normally you should get a 1/2 inch ply baffle. I think that's what Fender used to use back in the day. I'm going to use this pine once again. This was off the back of a pine bookcase, and of course with the sides sitting on the edges, the baffle's going to sit like that. Okay, so I've cut 3 of these pieces here. And what we're going to do is I'm using this Tarzan's grip wood glue, high strength bond. I'm going to join those pieces together. God knows if it's a decent baffle. Yeah, unfortunately I've got to cut the fourth piece, so I'm just going to have to cut that along there. Okay, we're coming to the end of the day, day one. Now this is going to be the baffle board. As I say, it's not ideal. It should be this marine ply. That'll be the front. So the speaker, I'm going to cut the speaker hole here, which I'll show you. And I just thought, to keep it rigid, I've glued this together, these pieces. I've cut that extra little piece there, but at the back here I've just added this reinforced strip here and here. I also used these little screws. Now they're barely long enough to get through, right? This wood's so soft, I've drilled them down through there, and I think they're holding quite well. Okay, so now this is the long and the short of this video, and why I wanted to share it with you, and that is how to put this box together when you can see you've got an old cement floor that's not level, you haven't got any sophisticated woodworking tools, and you want to get this box nice and square and as even as neat as possible. So anyway, my idea is, as I showed you, the two sides are here, right? And then I just lay the baffle on the top, and you can see here it's sitting like so. And then the idea is, if you just line up the top of the baffle with the top of the edge here, and I'm just going to put one screw there. You see, I don't have to worry about lining this box up. If I just get the one screw in here and get that piece on, make sure that's level, then I put another screw here, single screw at the top, and line this up, and then I can put one screw at the bottom and one screw there, so I know that's as square as it's going to be at the front, and then I just put the back piece on. So anyway, let's start and just do the first screw. Okay, so I've pre-drilled that hole. Okay, so what I've done is I've put a screw in each corner here. And of course, because this is quite a big wide piece of wood, as I've screwed it down, it's pulled this pretty straight, right? So that's the first stage. And of course, to finish off this, we're going to do the baffle. He's just going to have screws running up on each side here, like so, and we won't be screwing it along here. So that's one of the principles there of guitar speaker design, is you have a floating baffle, which means you only secure it on one side. But just for now, we'll leave the four corner screws, and now we'll put the two pieces on at the back. Okay, so here are the two back pieces. So, just for now, I'm just going to put a screw in each corner, just as I did the front, and eventually I'll put a second screw here. Now, just to get the screws on this top piece. Okay, so here we have it, guys. As I say, I've just put the baffle in with the four screws to start with at each corner. I'll flip him up. Here's the top view. So we've got the baffle screwed in to these great big side pieces here, which, as you know, I attached earlier. And then I've got these two pieces of ply forming the back. And the sides. You can see we've got the little plug here, which I cut down. So it's a reasonably deep box, I reckon, but you can see we've lost a bit of the depth here with this nice big inset. And just for your information, even though I only held it together with 8 screws, it feels incredibly solid. Hasn't got any movement or flex to it. I think it's going to work well. Okay, I've just laid the top piece on here, and in part of our near enough for rock and roll philosophy, I've lined it up there, and I've lined it up at the front corner here. I come across to here, and I've lined that up here, but look at this. It's hanging over the side on this side. And so I think what's happened is when I've joined this at the back here, it's not square. And so, look at that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that down. And so I'll make it fit. So obviously this is not as square as we would have liked. Who knows why? Okay, so I'll put a bit of glue on the top here, and when that dries, that'll hopefully create a better bond for when I stick the top on. So I'll let that dry, and then I've just roughed up the edges a little bit here with sandpaper. I'm going to glue that and screw it down. Okay, I've got this selection of indoor screws, and you know, I'm very happy with this one because it's a good length to really hold this this top down, and you can see it's going to pull through, because you see it's going to get all the way through the first board and then pull down, and that's exactly what I want, because this board is not sitting straight, so the screws will pull it into shape. Okay, so see how deep those screws are just being driven in with the driver here. I put 3 on that side, and you can see it's got that pretty tight. And we'll worry about this later. Okay, so I'm having trouble pulling this down. I put in a longer screw down here, but it actually, I think, it's cracked that a little bit. So I think rather than, I can't pull that any tighter, so I'm just going to put some glue in. Okay, so I'll put the glue in there. And I mean, the screws are going to hold that. I guess, you know, if you had some really nice joining techniques, you might get the vibration in the cabinet coming through, but I guess the the speaker's going to vibrate this face, and then that's connected to this, and then this is glued and screwed to the side. Yeah, so just got to put the bottom on now. Night vision here. This is the bottom, glued and screwed. Okay, so last thing for the night, I've just put some wood filler in these holes on the top, and I'll do the bottom tomorrow. This is getting ridiculous, but this is the pieces of wood for the patch. They're going to get stuck into place. And I should just shout out to the Weber barbecue. Now, one of the mottos of this video is don't let perfection get in the way of progress. So I mean, I could have said I haven't got a workbench, I can't do this job, but look, the Weber's just a great little space for carpentry projects. All right, so the patch is in place here, dodgy though it is. And the next step of this project was I got my rough file here, just filed down and rounded off the edges here at the top. Okay, so today we're going to cut the circle here. So I've just measured across here, so it's 30.3 centimetres. Okay, it's 22.3 is halfway down here, so X marks the spot. Okay, so now the reason I've got this speaker out is I'm measuring it. So if this is going to come from the back, we don't need to obviously cut the hole out to the full width. We're going to come to the inside here, and we look at the measure. It's 28 centimetres. Apologies. Oh, well, there you go, Americans. That's 11 inches. Isn't that interesting? It's a 12-inch speaker. Maybe if you measure from the outside ridge, it's a tiny bit over 12. So it's an interesting little bit of interest there. So really, it's 11 inches. And so that's how wide I want to get the hole. I've got a bit of cardboard here from the side of the pizza box, and we're going to just screw that on into the middle. What do you reckon, guys? Is this going to do it? Okay, so at some point you have to spend money, right? And look, you could do this with a handsaw of some sort and cut around this circle. But I bought this Aussie toe pendulum jigsaw. And so to start it off though, we have to cut a hole. Okay, so I've got the hole cut. I've got the guy ready to go. So just drop that in the hole and away we go. Okay, so there it is. Time again, I probably wouldn't need to reinforce this baffle because that's bang on ½ an inch wide. Okay, so what I've done, guys, is marked with pencil just around the perimeter here, which is it's 1.5 centimeters wide, this rim. So I've got it sitting where I want, and I'm just going to drill the holes through here. A nice sharp new drill bit here. Okay, because I'm mounting the speaker from the back, I figure I can't have screws because the screws would come through the front and just be jagging out here. So I bought these bolt, screw and washer. I've got a little worry that the vibration of the speaker might work the nut loose. So I'm not sure if anyone's got any thoughts about that, but I will just give it a go. And I bought the washer because I thought that might help secure it. And the head is just going to pull into the pine at the front here. Quite happy the way these bolts worked out. So there it is, look, it's sitting there nice, I think. See what I mean about, it's hard to get a perfect circle. And what's great about these is the pine's nice and soft, so these just bit in, and so they're holding here. And there she is. Away with this little spanner. And I don't know, I was worried I could start pulling this metal frame in, so they're pretty tight. Okay, so next up, I've got the little plug here, and with the plate, and so I've got to cut a pretty big hole to get this through, right? So I'm going to do it just by using my drill, just to cut multiple certain holes to get the right size. Yeah, just a point about this, it's not my happiest part of these jobs is the soldering. I do have a soldering iron, but for this one, all I've done is just wrap the wires through the connections here on the speaker, and they work without solder. And as for this little item, once again, you could just wrap it round. You know, if you're really not good at soldering, it's not essential part of the job. And these little screws, I was just able to screw them just by hand straight into this ply, which is so soft. And so now it's in place. Yeah, and I'm just going to reattach that. I'll put the extra screw in here on these back pieces, and we should be ready to test it. So today we're just having a look at the frame. So we're building this little frame here to put the cover over the speaker box. So basically I've cut these lengths, and just once again, I'm not a carpenter, so there's probably nicer ways to join this, but I have taken the time to cut inset this, so I'm just going to glue this. Yeah, just put some paper on here so the glue doesn't run through. And I've glued the bottom two first, and I'll do the top later. Okay, so the universe was looking after me when I made this frame a little bit, like it had a fair bit of gap on the sides, but look at this. Now this is a large youth size AC/DC t-shirt, and I've got the front to choose from here, but then you see the neck comes down. Or the back. I'm thinking We Salute You because it's got your 2010, and of course AC/DC with the sad passing of Malcolm. And so yeah, look at that. So an old t-shirt makes a great cover. Now I'll just tack that into place, and the tool I use is this heavy duty stapler. All right, time will tell if this is a fool's errand, but I'm going to use these as the feet of the speaker box, and I use this knife to cut this stuff I got somewhere, and I'm just going to glue them on like that. All right, so this is pretty much the very last roll of the dice here. So I've just found this one coat stain and varnish, which actually nails the colour here on the speaker box. So I've run it along here on that edging I did, and I used some of that brown filler on the edge here. So that's what it's looking like. What I'm most happy about, to be honest, is this t-shirt. So I tacked that on around the frame I showed you, but I've just used 4 screws here, But it's the We Salute You 1x12 box. Now I have this handle too, so 2 screws, pop the handle on. You can see the patch there, and coming around to the back. And so that's the 1x12 finished. We salute you. Okay, so we're going to give the new box a little trial.